Welcome aboard the least used commuter rail system in the United States. This is the WeGo Star, a single rail line connecting Tennessee's capital of Nashville to its nearby suburbs. It's a stub of a network that never got bigger, with tiny trains and barely any riders on some runs. So why does Tennessee operate this thing at all? Who is it for? And why doesn't it go anywhere else? The only way to find out is to go for a ride. My friend Josh and I drive into Nashville from the south, where the first thing we see is lots and lots of highway traffic. This doesn't surprise us too much. It is rush hour after all. Many of these commuters are headed to Nashville's largest suburbs, such as Murfreesboro, with over 150,000 residents, and Franklin, with over 80,000. I also noticed that we crossed under multiple freight railroads, whose tracks connect Nashville to its bedroom communities. So naturally, in 2006, the Tennessee Capitol opened a commuter rail line which went here. What? The WeGo Star, originally the Music City Star prior to the system's 2018 rebranding, and not to be confused with France's WeGo, runs 32 miles from Nashville to Lebanon, serving 7 stations along the way. And that is of course what we're here to ride.
My expectations are not that high, given that it is America's least ridden commuter rail network, so as long as it is a train rolling on tracks, it has met my expectations.
Once we're off the highway, we get a sense of the car-centric suburban world that the WeGo Star tries to serve.
Ba, 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 ba.
Pulling into Donaldson Station, we're surprised to find we're far from the only car in the parking lot. The platform has a few helpful features, such as shaded shelters, an accessible mini-high platform, trash cans, signage, and a fare machine to buy tickets. Riders can also tap their contactless payment cards to pay for their ride, which we do. So all in all, this is a fairly decent commuter rail station. Like this would feel right at home on a much larger system, and I'd call it a fine station.
The shade is a little questionable at this time of day, but I mean, other than that, it's got everything you need for commuter rail.
I did notice that if you look along these tracks, there's signs that say like 2 cars, 3 cars, 4 cars, so this could in theory accommodate a 4-car train, but from what I've seen, I believe they only run 4 cars for special events. I could be wrong.
Buses service the station as well, and planes zoom overhead coming out of the city's airport to the south. We see several of both before we hear our train, running about 8 minutes behind schedule. Our train has 2 gallery cars and an F40PH locomotive in a push-pull configuration.
It's purple! I love it!
As usual with gallery cars, we board in a center vestibule, then turn right into one of 2 passenger compartments, climbing a small staircase to an upper level. The conductor says to board this half of the car since it has air conditioning. I'm not sure if the rest is powered off to save electricity or if it's not working. The green window tint makes it hard to see outside, but from up here we can see the passenger seating below. There's also a large accessible space for wheelchair users. The lower level has a traditional aisle design, while the upper level is divided into 2 balconies. Our cab car dates back to 1965, and was originally in use on the Burlington route. It was most recently acquired from a failed attempt to run commuter rail between Detroit and Ann Arbor, Michigan. There are a few other people on board as we make our scheduled 10-mile, 14-minute journey into Nashville, the first of 3 rides we will be taking today. The WeGo Star runs on the Nashville and Eastern, a short line that continues past Lebanon to Monterey, where it serves as a sand mining operation. This sees low enough traffic that it's feasible to run a few commuter trains on the mostly single-tracked line. Passing the yard, we can see locomotives painted for R.J. Corman Railroad Group, the NNE's parent company, as well as a couple of ex-Amtrak baggage cars, even though Amtrak itself hasn't served Nashville since 1979. Due in part to its choice of route, the WeGo Star cost just under $1.3 million per mile, the cheapest per-mile cost of any American commuter rail system, according to Wikipedia. Then, before too long, we see the skyline of downtown Nashville out the windows, and we pull into Riverfront Station, the end of the line. There's a scheduled 10-minute layover here before we return east, but with our delay, that's down to just a couple minutes. A decent-sized crowd on the platform surges onto the train, and pretty soon, every seat in our half of the gallery car is taken. Now, we'll be heading east to the train's terminus of Mount Juliet, a 19-mile journey we'll make in 30 minutes. The Cumberland River rolls along to our left, and riders can glimpse Nissan Stadium across the water, home to the Tennessee Titans. WeGo runs trains for special events here, as the stadium is accessible from Riverfront Station via a pedestrian bridge. If you're enjoying this video, do consider subscribing and checking out my Patreon. Supporters can watch bonus videos, including my trips to foreign places like Chile and Buc-ee's, and join my Patreon Discord server where I help people make their own train videos. 14 minutes later, we're back at Donelson, where passengers come pouring off the train back to their cars. Shortly afterward, we reach a passing track, where we wait for the westbound train to pass us before we continue along the single-tracked right-of-way. From what Josh and I could figure out from the schedule, the entire Star operation uses just 2 trains, although they have extra equipment if needed. Trains start the day in Lebanon, where the first one takes morning commuters into Nashville, runs halfway down the line to Mount Juliet, carries another load of passengers into Nashville, and returns to Lebanon. The second train, meanwhile, simply runs to Nashville and back from Lebanon. The entire process repeats itself for the evening commute. That brings the system to a grand total of 6 inbound and 6 outbound trips per day, with 4 of each continuing past Mount Juliet to Lebanon. Services do not run on weekends outside of special events. So why did this tiny line become the sole commuter train for a metro area of over 2 million? Well, it wasn't supposed to be. Faced with growing traffic congestion, Nashville officials envisioned a multi-line commuter rail system, forming a star radiating out from downtown, hence the system's name. Most of these lines would have used CSX rights-of-way. Nashville's Union Station, now a hotel, was considered as a hub for rail services. As of 2024, there has been discussion of expanding frequency on the Star, but no serious plans for new lines. We reach our turnback point of Mount Juliet, a suburb with 44,000 residents, as well as decent transit-oriented development along the track. This layover gives us a chance to see our locomotive. F40PH 381 was originally built for Amtrak in 1981, and was painted in Amtrak-specific Surfliner colors before delivery to Nashville. The WeGo logo, introduced when Nashville's public transit system took on that brand, actually slaps on these gallery cars, as does the purple paint job. As you could probably tell, the WeGo Star is basically a glorified parking shuttle. Trips are based heavily around traditional commute patterns, far from the all-day, bidirectional regional services you might find in northeastern cities. Trains don't serve the largest travel markets in Nashville, and they aren't really useful unless you work a 9 to 5 and don't want to drive downtown. With only a few trips per day, only a few cars per train, and only a few places served, it's no wonder that the WeGo Star has the lowest ridership of any American commuter rail system, at 125,900 riders in all of 2024. Technically, Portland's West Side Express had less, but that's basically an extension of their light rail system. By comparison, Austin's Cap Metro Red Line, which is widely considered a weak system, pulled 500,000 riders in the same year, and most of the Star's riders are not going to be riding in reverse peak direction. Josh and I are now the only passengers in our car, and we roll through Hermitage with barely a stop and nobody boarding. Just before Donelson, we hit the passing track again and wait for both the outbound Star and a freight train. The Star is by no means exemplary passenger rail, but I wouldn't say it's a waste of space either. Far from it. This is a well-ridden train for the limited use case in which it actually makes sense, and a helpful service to keep cars off the streets of downtown Nashville. I think it's cool that Nashville took the initiative to put this together and keep it running. It honestly is a decent model that could be replicated elsewhere, and I'm sure Class 1 freight railroads are willing to cooperate with more passenger rail on their tracks. Ha! I crack myself up sometimes.
I'm impressed people got on.
And that was the WeGo Star. Thank you guys so much for watching and bankrolling the hot chicken I had after filming this. And since I didn't know where else to put this, special thanks to my wife for arranging to have my graduation pictures taken at Mansfield Station.
Oh my god, here we go, here we go!
Please remain behind yellow line.
Yo voy a cantar esta canción, yo voy a cantar esta canción para mi gente. Con una pasión tan fuerte. Yo he sido una